So today I thought to give just a few reflections on the retreat, the Amitabha Buddha retreat. So mostly I've been meditating on impermanence and death, and not only does that keep me focused on the preciousness of the time that I have on this earth, but the result also is that I'm making preparation for death instead of making preparation for the attachments of this life. And so that's been very beneficial. Thinking about creating the causes of being born in Amitabha's Pure Land involves this kind of practice, I think. And I kind of been thinking about two main practices to prepare for death and rebirth. And the first one is letting go. And really, in order to not grasp at the aggregates at the time of death, I need to practice letting go while still alive. And then the question comes, letting go of what? And certainly can start with letting go of regret, resentment, and attachments. And if I hold on to regrets, that really keeps me tethered to this life. It also keeps me tethered to this life if I hold on to resentment. And so letting go of regret, purifying and repairing, doing that daily is a good practice. Letting go of resentments involves seeing the harm that keeping hold of resentment has to myself. And also letting them go is consciously choosing peace of mind by employing forgiveness. And already we're working on decreasing attachment just by living here at the Abbey. Many different ways the Abbey is set up to help us to let go of attachments, or at least work on our attachment to many different things. And there's also many antidotes that we have learned through the years to work on our attachment. And of course, the question then comes, do I choose to use those antidotes? So that's the question. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So attachment to people, I think that really involves adopting a very vast view, reminding myself of the impermanence of this life, and that all the beings that I have connection with are impermanent. To remind myself that holding on to the attachment of another being is going to bring misery to myself and misery to the other. And to also to really be able to remind myself that really my goal in this life is to become fully awakened. And letting go of attachments to people is part of that process. And if I work on being fully awakened, that is going to be so much more beneficial to all the people that I'm close to than anything I could do in this one brief life. Letting go of solid identities I hold of myself is also necessary. The process of aging helps with this. I can no longer do the things I could do when I was younger. And so being able to come to terms with that with some grace and acceptance is very helpful. And again, just reminds me of the impermanence of everything, of this life, of me. And if I don't accept this process of aging, I become miserable. And I know this for a fact because I've practiced that one. And misery really stops my practice. It stops it. So, and then reflecting again and again on the emptiness of inherent existence, the emptiness of Jigme, I am preparing to let go. And all of this practice of letting go then helps me at death time. I can also practice while living by letting go when something unexpected happens. So when I get sick, when I get frightened by something all of a sudden, something scares me, in that moment to try as soon as I can grab my mind to practice staying calm and centered in the face of the unexpected will also serve me very well at the time of death. And then close to death time, I can start mentally giving away any possessions I still have, generate a heart of refuge, of greatness, of gratefulness, of all the kindness I've experienced. Focus on refuge, love, compassion, bodhicitta as I'm dying. And then placing one's mind on Amitabha's Pure Land, recalling the aspiration to be reborn there, filling the mind with images of the Pure Land would be very helpful. Then this kind of brings us to the second activity at death time. And here we start preparing ourselves for the death dissolution stages. And we keep in our mind any vision that we experience is not real, so that we can keep focused on our practice, whatever it may be. So if it's wanting to be in Amitabha's Pure Land, then that's what we keep in our mind, even if, another image in our mind pops in. We don't follow it. We don't get scared about it. We don't react to it. We bring our mind right back to Amitabha's Pure Land, all the images that we have in our mind, our conviction, our aspiration for being reborn there. And then all of that practice then will help as we go through the stages of death. As His Holiness has said, it is very important for us to constantly familiarize our thoughts and emotions with the idea of death, so that it does not arrive as something completely unexpected. He also reminds us that the very first and last teachings of the Buddha were on impermanence. So very important to keep our minds focused on this. And then lastly, I just remind myself frequently that, I know how to die. I've done it countless times. All of us have. We know how to do this. Even people that aren't prepared know how to do this, actually. Yeah. So any preparation that we can bring our minds to and practice while we're alive is going to serve us at that time with some clarity and open-heartedness and kindness. We will be able to face it just fine. And so let's practice that.